8, if you can believe it, of social isolation in Oregon, and day 100 since Washington and the U.S. saw our very first case of COVID-19. And you know, while I'm talking to the people in Washington who are probably ready for that stay-at-home order to go away in about 5 days, got some bad news for you, depending on how you look at it.
The current order of stay home, stay healthy will remain in effect.
All right, he didn't say for how long. We don't know that yet. Governor Jay Inslee promising to say more on Friday with another news conference. That's May 1st, the beginning of May. In Oregon, we never had an end date to the stay-at-home order. We still don't. In fact, that's kind of all I can tell you about the Northwest's timetable. Unless you're wondering about the next half hour, that I am an expert in that. So let's spend a bit of day 38 together, shall we? Send me a message, use the hashtag HeyDan, or email thestory@kgw.com. And I want to start tonight with a message from a viewer, someone named Pastor Linda. She dropped into my DMs and asked, why have traffic jams started? Who are all these people who are driving, and where exactly are they going? Well, Pastor Linda, I definitely can't tell you where all of these people are going specifically. That's a big ask, even for us, and a little stalkery. But listen, as for why you may be seeing more traffic, well, imagine possibly people are getting a little bit more used to this, the new normal. They're feeling a little more comfortable getting out and about. But for what it's worth, the Portland Bureau of Transportation reports to us that car trips have been cut in half, and Waze is reporting the traffic jams have fallen by 88%. But I want to use Linda's comment as a jumping off point, kind of, to talk about a huge project that PBOT is launching in the near future. And like every government project, it has a catchy, alliterative name. Slow Streets, Slave Streets. No, Slow Streets, Slow Streets, Safe Streets. Got it. All right, Chloe Udaly, the brains behind this one, since she runs PBOT. Can't say she's taking credit for the title. Basically, the idea is reconfigure some of Portland's streets to make it easier for cyclists and walkers to social distance while they're out and about. The first part of the plan is to alter neighborhood greenways, those quiet residential streets where bikes and pedestrians are priority. They have the priority there. The Bureau plans to install temporary barricades to slow traffic or even block it completely. On PBOT's news release, it says Chloe Udaly wants to treat all 100 miles of neighborhood greenway network. So this is a really serious job we're talking about here. The second part, PBOT will expand sidewalks on streets with heavy foot traffic. They might even install some pop-up walking and biking lanes. And thirdly, the business district, in business districts, they will make more room for customers to line up. Now, let's talk about kind of the elephant in the room here a little bit. There are some other reports out there that's saying that PBOT is only addressing 100 sections of greenway, not 100 miles of greenways. We would like to clarify this to see what is true and what is not, but Udaly's office hasn't got back to us just yet. But for now, we're going to go with the language that PBOT used in their news release yesterday, which said 100 miles. And when is all this happening, you're probably wondering? Yeah, we don't really know that either. Luckily, you are watching a news show, and we can keep you updated. All right, let's talk about our big story tonight, which has nothing to do at all with the pandemic. Instead, we are going to be turning our attention back to the culture at Oregon's state capitol and, unfortunately, a new accusation of sexual misconduct in Salem. It's a topic that has gotten a lot of coverage and conversation over the last few years. It's cost you a lot of money also after a $1 million+ settlement from the state. It also spurred changes in state law designed to do a better job to address complaints like this one. So we'll see. Here's Maggie Vespa.
This is a story with, unfortunately, a lot of background.
No comment.
But we'll start with what's new. This week, our team spotted a new 13-page report released by Oregon's House Special Committee on Conduct. It centers on State Representative David Gomberg, a Democrat from the Central Coast, and it details an accusation by a woman who doesn't work for the state, but interacts with elected officials in her job. The woman, who's not named, told investigators she encountered Gomberg at an Oregon business and industry dinner in October of last year, and that, quote, Gomberg joked about a recent appointment with his urologist for a prostate condition and about being prescribed medication that would cause an erection. Gomberg told the investigator he remembered talking about the appointment and the medication, but never used the word erection. Gomberg's wife gave a similar account. Another witness, a lobbyist, couldn't remember if he used the word, but said it was implied. Gomberg told the investigator he didn't think a reasonable person would be creeped out by what he said. Via email, he told us, "This was a conversation about my personal health, and I regret that anyone that overheard it was offended. I look forward to meeting with the committee tomorrow." A hearing on the matter is set for 3 p.m. Thursday. Now, to the background. This isn't Representative Gomberg's first run-in with complaints. A few years ago, during an investigation into sexual misconduct at Oregon's Capitol, he was accused of asking interns for birthday spankings and joking about one being a stripper. Gomberg later publicly apologized. It was the same mass investigation that dug into more serious accusations against then State Senator Jeff Cruz, among them that he touched the thigh and breasts of fellow State Senator Sarah Gelser. Cruz denied the accusations and dodged our cameras.
But several women have said that you made them uncomfortable, you continued to harass them.
No comment. We're going through a formal process. We will let the process play out.
He later resigned. In the years that followed, the state paid more than $1.1 million in settlement fees to the victims in these cases and made changes to prevent or at least better handle future cases. Among them, creating the nonpartisan Legislative Equity Office to field concerns and oversee anti-harassment training, mandating reports of misconduct go to an independent investigator, which happened in this latest case, and extending the statute of limitations on such complaints from 1 year to 5 years.
Okay, Maggie Vespa joining us now. Here we are once again talking about the same issue. We've heard from lawmakers before that they were going to handle this type of stuff differently in Salem, but are we seeing that? Are things being done and handled differently?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, this investigation being handled by an independent investigator, like we mentioned in that piece, is in and of itself a sign of change. That said, I reached out to House Speaker Tina Kotek, who was the first person to receive the complaint at the center of the story, and her office sent us this statement. I want to show you to you now. It reads, quote, "I take all concerns raised about inappropriate workplace behavior seriously. It is essential that those who are subject to that behavior know they can safely report that information while maintaining their confidentiality. I will continue to do everything in my power to make the legislature a model workplace where everyone feels safe." So that was what she had to say. And obviously, Dan, we're expecting to learn more at that hearing tomorrow at 3 p.m. And the representative, as you heard in that piece, is planning to speak at that hearing on his own behalf.
Okay. Maggie Vespa, thank you. So last week we had some pretty big news in the political world here in Oregon. The state Supreme Court, they ruled that campaign contribution limits that voters passed in Multnomah County are not facially invalid. So that's kind of lawyery speak, but what that means is basically they're not automatically unconstitutional. And this is a big deal because Oregon is one of just a few states with no limit whatsoever on how much you can donate to a political campaign. Before this, the courts considered donations kind of a version of free speech protection. So now Portland City Auditor says that they're going to start enforcing the $500 donation limit next week. But Sarah Iannarone, one of Portland's mayoral candidates, wants it to be retroactively enforced. So she's suing Mayor Ted Wheeler, claiming that he violated the limits 93 times while raising money for his re-election campaign. So far, he's been taking donations of up to $5,000 from individual people, which was legal. Okay. We asked Wheeler's campaign about the lawsuit, and they told us the timing of this is purely political. This has no merit. Last week, Wheeler said they would also follow these new $500 limits. All right, let's focus now back on the coronavirus stuff for just a minute. We've been talking about these tests for literally months since this all started. Now there's this new buzzword test out there for antibodies. Basically, these tests are supposed to show whether or not you have actually had COVID-19 in the past. So not if you have it right now, not if you're currently sick, but if your immune system produced antibodies to fight it, now you're better and you have those antibodies in your system. Now, some people think if we can tell who's already had it and who has not had it, we can let the people who have already been sick and gotten better out of lockdown so we can get the economy going again, right? Doctors say, no, not right.
Positive, though, is more difficult because it's not clear, depending on the test, it's not clear what level of immunity that signifies. It doesn't tell us how long you have that kind of immunity, and it certainly is no guarantee against either getting reinfected or the possibility that you've had a false positive test.
Now, apparently there are a lot of antibody tests that people are selling right now that might not be very good quality. They might not be super reliable. Quest Diagnostics, we don't know about theirs here in Oregon. They've released their own test this week, but they haven't yet gotten the go-ahead from the FDA. All right, sliding back into the Twitter DMs here to read this question from Aaron McMurtry. He asked, hey, Dan, do you know if there are any grocers or businesses that are still accepting bottles or can returns? Being stuck at home, the empties are really starting to pile up. Whoa, dude, Aaron, pace yourself, man. Make sure you're drinking responsibly, okay? And to answer your question, no, grocery stores are not accepting bottle returns through at least the end of May. They don't want any more people basically at these grocery stores than they absolutely have to have there. But if you're like Aaron and the empties are getting a little out of control, there are options out there to get your 10 cents.
Anything that is a specifically branded bottle drop location is open right now. So that includes about 9 redemption centers in the metro area and the 10th emergency location that we opened up in Northwest Portland at our headquarters. That also includes all of our green bag drop doors. So there's about 15 other locations in the metro area where people can drop their green bags.
And if transportation is an issue, today TriMet started a free shuttle bus that takes off from the Moda Center to bottle drop locations in Northwest. Any pet owners will tell you that pets are like a part of the family. And now, when it comes to social distancing, the CDC wants us to start actually treating them that way. Any pet owner will tell you that pets are like part of the family. And now when it comes to social distancing, the CDC wants us to start actually treating them that way and keeping Portland weird and extraterrestrial. When the story continues.
Welcome to my home office. Some of you have asked about the medals hanging on my wall here, and I just wanted to give you just a short explanation because really the whole story would take hours. But basically, they're running medals. This one, for example, is from the Portland Marathon. About 8 years ago, I thought it'd be fun to maybe challenge myself, scare myself to think about doing a marathon or a half marathon. And so I did a walk-run program in my early 50s. And it went so well, I did the half marathon and then the full Portland Marathon. And then I did a bunch of marathons after that. And then I started to get into triathlons. And my scary goal now is to do a full Ironman. But in this world where everybody gets a medal, these are all medals for finishing. I'm not fast, but I do keep going. So thanks for asking. That's what they're about. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, welcome back. Thanks to everybody writing in and using the hashtag HeyDan. Look, I don't think I'm being controversial by saying those of us with pets probably really are relying on their company right now more than ever, and that's great. But now the CDC wants that relationship to remain entirely exclusive to just you and your pet. That's right, social distancing is for the dogs and for the cats. The CDC is asking us to keep a safe distance from other people's pets because a small number of dogs and cats have actually gotten the virus. And if you want to feel even worse about it, they probably got it from humans. So sorry to tell you, no puppy play dates. Make sure that they're not sniffing any heinies down at the dog park, and just keep the cat inside, though they'll probably be bothered by that no matter what you do. All right. Here's something from another local outlet we think is worth your time, from the editorial board of the Beaverton Valley Times, which thinks Beaverton should rethink its approach to charter changes. Basically, this May, Beaverton will vote whether to change its style of government from a strong mayor to a typical council-manager style. But this editorial points out that Beaverton's mayor is also up for election on this same ballot, meaning that they are running for a position that could change into something completely different in a matter of months. It is a pretty fascinating debate, one that we will be following and one that we really think is worth your time. Now, you probably think that the graphic we're going to show on your screen right here looks like a typo down at the bottom. It's not. Our very talented photojournalist, Kurt Austin, met a group that's trying to maintain a sense of community for a group of people who need it more than most.
Cancer's scary, but a lot of good can come out of it. My name is Tracy Wahlberg, and I just finished my last round of chemo, so I'm a breast cancer survivor. When you originally get a diagnosis, it's frustrating because you can't do all that you want to do on those days where you're tired or feeling sick or fatigued, but you can do something. Nobody should have to go through this experience alone, and Breast Friends definitely provides that.
Breast Friends provides emotional support to women who are navigating the cancer journey. My name is Allison Hancock, the Executive Director of Breast Friends.
When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I got connected with an organization called Breast Friends.
Breast Friends has been a huge part of my cancer journey.
It's been a really positive influence.
We have lots of different programs, from our one-on-one support. We also have a Warrior Women Workshop program, transportation to women who need treatment, and we also have our Bald is Beautiful program.
Going through the coronavirus is difficult for all of us. Everyone is experiencing the frustration of isolation.
I haven't been to the store or out in public for 6+ weeks.
Yeah, I've been wearing a mask for the last 4 months before everybody else started.
Well, this brings up a lot of the emotions that we all went through during our cancer journey, of isolation and fear and what does our health look like.
This is an incredibly hard time for people in this situation. I am Yvonne Neidigger, and I'm the Director of Programs for Breast Friends.
My name is Robin McManama, and I am a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in January of last year.
My name is Leslie Rominski. I'm from Lake Oswego. I'm a breast cancer patient.
We've been doing Zoom conferences almost a week after this started.
Since the pandemic, I feel like they've been working even harder to make sure that all the women who are part of Breast Friends feel connected.
We have pivoted our programs, and we started Zoom meetings, and there's 3 to 4 Zoom meetings that women can participate in weekly.
We have programs of actual support.
Some are just fun, hanging out and getting to know each other. They had a nutritionist on last week to talk about eating healthy through cancer and also during this hard season.
We're doing fun things. We've got a happy hour
where we just get together and we talk about something positive.
Yeah.
Our Bald is Beautiful program is one of my favorites.
It was just a couple weeks after I finished my last chemo.
This is my front porch. This is where everything's happening for me. Yep. Including my photo shoots.
I love it. This is sweet.
Very emotional for me.
I watch these women, and I watch them go from being shut in and feeling very much like, oh, I can't possibly be beautiful, to radiating on camera.
Breast Friends is just trying to make sure we all feel like we're not alone.
They're not alone.
You see that there's light in the midst of suffering.
That's the greatest silver lining of going through cancer, is helping someone else.
Other graphics. Hey everybody, I'm Matt Safino. In the weather story tonight, we are going to talk about climate change and a group of people who are very, very close to weather and climate: farmers. And guess what? They want to do something about it. At least many of them do and already have. 2,000 farmers and ranchers around the country have signed on to this letter, which is basically a commitment to help improve practices that will lead to solutions for climate change. So it's a farmer letter on climate change solutions in agriculture. And again, already 2,000 farmers have signed this, and I'm sure there will be more after that. So how do farmers fight climate change? Well, you can do it, and here's some more text from that letter saying they are committed to being part of the solution by improving soil health and increasing soil organic matter on their farms and ranches. And why is that important? Because it draws down atmospheric carbon levels, which are at the root of climate change. So yeah, farmers, their lives are affected by climate change and the increase in frequency and ferocity of natural disasters. That's not good for sustainable operations. They like predictable, sustainable operations, as any business does. So again, their plan is to improve soil health through good farming practices there, reduce tillage, use more cover crops. What that does is it helps draw down atmospheric carbon, because cover crops, as they grow, actually act as they actually absorb carbon. So the farms can act as a carbon sink. It's really pretty incredible, and they're very excited about it. Improving soil health, that's good for them. It's good for their operations. It's good for the environment. So before these strategies are widely adopted, however, the farmers say they need their support. So the letter calls for policies to help advance agricultural solutions to climate change. And oh yes, farms can also help generate renewable energy. Windmills is one idea, of course, but they have a lot of byproducts that can be turned into fuel that are not carbon-based fuels that can be used to help reduce the use of carbon products too. And they also in this letter say that they can reduce their own carbon footprint by going to renewable energies as opposed to gas and oil products too. So Dan, it's pretty exciting. And the farmers I've talked to over the last 10 years are all like, we're seeing, not all of them, but many of them are saying, we're seeing it happen, and they're increasingly concerned, and now, as farmers will, they plan on doing something about it. It's pretty cool.
Sounds good, Matt. Thank you. Hey, I like the shirt tonight, man. Look good. Come on.
Well, I was outside for a while, and then I got rained on, so now I'm back in.
Well, you know what? You look good inside and outside. Appreciate it, man. All right, last chance for you folks to send me in a comment or a question. Use the hashtag HeyDan, or email us at thestory@kgw.com. I'll read a couple of them after the break. And I got something to say about this photo, because the thing I said about it last night was completely wrong. We're going to finish the story next. Jennifer Taft is keeping Portland weird tonight and showing off her talents, sharing this Hey Dan Duck, sporting the tinfoil hat that I wear under my hairpiece every time I read stories about UFOs. She assures me that foil hats are not that quacky. Nice to see that alien sporting the proper safety gear as well. Thanks to Jennifer for making us all smile here on the story. Now, she sent that in for us to use after we discussed Oregon's unique tie to UFO sightings, and we showed you this famous picture of a UFO taken in our area. I said last night that that was in Mount Rainier, Washington, which is completely wrong. It's not right at all, so we messed that up. And then Danielle Nihas sent me a note about it and said, I think the picture you used on the news tonight was actually from the Trent Farm outside of McMinnville, and she is exactly right. Hashtag Hey Danielle. The picture was snapped in May of 1950 by Paul Trent after his wife Evelyn spotted a slow-moving metal disc while she was feeding rabbits on the farm. The image was eventually printed in Life magazine, which was the equivalent of going viral in the 1950s. So, sorry we got that one wrong, and thanks for helping us to get it right. Let's talk about some comments tonight. A lot of people writing in about Bottle Drop. Kristen Moon saying, hey, Dan, you forgot to mention to use the Bottle Drop, that bag account, the green bags. You have to sign up for an account, give them their information. When you drop the bag off, you then get that money credited to your account, which is a good point. And then Regina Moore saying that Chester's in Pacific City has been accepting bottle returns the entire time. So grocery stores aren't told they can't do bottle drops. They are given the option not to. So some places are still doing it. You might be able to find it, but for the most part, and especially in Portland, you won't find a single one. Then we also heard from Peggy saying cats should always be inside. We were talking about people taking their cats and dogs and being able to socially distance. I've seen people walk a cat, okay, on a leash. But I've seen it. That's a thing. And then one more from Monica Corey. She said, dude, you are a speed talker. I know. That's it for tonight. That's the story. We got Laura Porter coming up next at 6:30. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow.